What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Bowl edition Niners Coast to Coast, where we're going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers because they're in the Super Bowl. It's a great feeling. It's also super nerve-wracking. So there's a lot to talk about. But before we do all that, I just want to get everybody's vibe. How's everybody feeling 1 week out?
I feel good. I'm excited. I'm ready to get it on already.
Right.
Enough of the talk. Let's go.
Feeling great. Yeah. Bryant?
Nothing, Bryant?
Oh boy. I'm usually the positive one, right? I think this week's gonna go entirely too slow, too fast at certain times. I think it's gonna speed up, and when you're not realizing how fast it's gonna go, then you're gonna go, wow, it's going, and that's when it's gonna like immediately start slowing down. You're like, are we there yet? Can we play some football? So, not putting anybody down, but there's going to be media everywhere talking about the game, and everybody's going to be hyped. And then it's going to get to a point where you're like, I want to watch something else. And then there's going to be a point where it's going to drag you back in, folks. And I feel like it's like, it's like, for me, I'm really anxious. It's like, I want to get there and I want a good result. And that's really where I'm at. So maybe that's where I'm leaning more towards, is because I'm worried about the end results.
I'm not a superstitious person. I don't believe in hexes or spells or any of that, but I think the vibe started out great this week. I got a jersey from a viewer. Her name is Nancy Cameron. She's a subscriber on TED Talks Ball and on my YouTube channel. She sent me a Brock Purdy white jersey as a gift. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for representing the faithful the best way possible. And thanks for starting this week off with like a really good vibe. This feels right. Not that I got the jersey, it's just the gesture. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
for those who are viewers of the channel, you don't have to send gifts to show your love. Like, share, comment, subscribe. All the jazz. But I just want to say thank you to Nancy Cameron. If she sees this, please, thank you very much. What a way to start the week. Speaking of starting the week, they got a little drama going on there in Las Vegas here with these this news coming out about the practice field being unpracticable. Is that a word? I'm making a word up. So the Chiefs are inside in the Raiders facility, I think.
Yep.
No weather, perfect conditions. And the 49ers are on a practice field that had field turf that now has grass on top of it, and it is a mess.
Yeah.
And the 49ers are pissed, and doesn't seem like the NFL or the Chiefs really want to help or cooperate. So I guess I could just start with saying not the best vibe to start the Super Bowl week. People are going to think we're a bunch of whine asses and complainers, but I don't want to get anybody hurt. I don't want anybody to go down before the Super Bowl because of some BS. I'll start with Ty. What do you make of this, man? Is this just something into the lore that we'll talk about after we win and say that, was something that it was destined for us to win because of the situation? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know about that. But for right now, it's pure BS because the NFL has guidelines in place for their practice facilities, especially for the Super Bowl, right? And both teams at least are supposed to be on a field that's even, that meets the guidelines. How can you tell a team to go to a field that doesn't meet the guidelines right off the bat? You effed up. So it's real BS. If I'm in the 49ers organization, I'm pissed too. And I'm making a stink out of it. I'm raising heck. Like, yo, what is this? This is Bush League. You can't be doing this. $1 million organization. This is what you do. $1 billion, I should say. And you have these rules in place, and this is how you do us. Nah, not acceptable.
No, not acceptable at all. BC?
I understand it. And now what I did hear is now they're going to be sharing the practice field inside, and they're not going to be on the field at the same time. So I don't understand who's going to start losing practice time, or if the practice time is going to be the same amount given when people are going to be practicing. It just doesn't make any sense. And I never understood it either, as big of a stadium as most NFL fields are. And, if a lot of us here has been to the Levi Stadium. Why are they practicing in the stadium? Why aren't they practicing on the field next to the stadium? Like the Warriors had like a little arena next door to the Oakland Raiders old stadium, the Oakland A's Coliseum. So it's like there's places around and that's a whole nother stadium. But what I'm getting at is there's places around stadiums when they build them. There's plenty of room majority of the time when they go to build them, because they're building them on the outside of besides that, we're going way off topic. But there's a place if they could find for practice, and I don't understand why now this is a Super Bowl. There should not be a question on who and where practice is going to be at. So it seemed a little bit like suspect to me.
Don't jump in there, David.
So,
give it to us.
So, according to NFL regulations, the field's supposed to be laid down and checked out in December.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you just barely putting some salt on it last week?
Thank you.
I mean, what is going on here, NFL? You want another rigged video to come out? Because that's what you're looking at. There's going to be a lot of people saying something about that. And our field being rated 55, and the practice field they're on's rated an 80. It's like quite a bit of a difference here. There's seams on the field. It's like walking on a sponge. And I did walk on the field at Levi's when I went for the Giants game. And I honestly thought, I was thinking, wow, this stuff's like soft, when I was walking on it. And that's just the way an NFL football field is. It's not like you can just go to a high school field and practice there, because let's face it, a high school field's a total different monster.
Yeah.
The high school field I had, it had holes, and it was horrible.
Divots.
It was horrible. So, at this point, we have to sharing is caring. We have to share the Raiders facilities, and hope they don't plant a camera somewhere or something. We get another Spygate going on. It's like
I think for the amount of money that this league makes,
exactly,
the fact that this is even happening, that we're even talking about this, is just beyond shameful.
Yeah.
Whether you believe the NFL is rigged or not, and the Chiefs are meant to win because, Taylor Swift and Kelsey, and it's a story. I don't really care about that once the game starts, because somebody can get their ass knocked out, and then all of a sudden it's a different game. Mahomes gets knocked out of the game, and then we're talking differently. But seams on a practice field or spongy field, that's all stuff that can lead to injuries, serious injuries.
Yep.
So we're gonna lose Nick Bosa the week of the Super Bowl. He's gonna blow his knee out, or McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And then what's gonna be the walk back? Like, what's the league's walk back gonna be? Like, some PR BS statement about
they'll spin it.
They'll spin it, right? So to me, NFL, get your together, your ass, your crap, and according to you, Dave, or David, you saw, or was it Bryant? Dave decided to share it. I didn't know that.
That's what I heard earlier today. So I could have heard wrong, but that's what I understood. Because
I heard Kansas City wasn't cooperating.
Okay,
that's the last thing that I saw, but I could be wrong. Seen, not saw.
And are you surprised by that?
No. They got to kind of be forced to. It's like it's got to be fair for everyone. But
exactly.
I want to say hi to the chat real quick before we get to our next topic, because this might get a little intense. So I don't want
What's up, people?
Ignore anybody. We got Rob D in the house. Thank you for coming through, Rob D. Appreciate you. Hope everything's going well with your family. I'm just gonna call you John because I'm really bad with last names. He says smash and like.
That's Johnny Chisari.
Chisari, I should know that, right?
He's a good guy. Yeah.
He's a great
guy.
Got
Charles Drake in here. busted my balls about the Chiefs as usual. Frank Tom Ocean says he likes my beard. Thank you very much. Raphael 562 in
That's
the
my guy.
house
What's going on?
as usual, coming through to support the stream. We got my lady, Jupiter, saying hi to the crew. Thank you, Jupiter, for
What's
coming and
up?
supporting your man's stream. Speaking of a lady supporting her man's stream, we got Tony Culp, the better half of the Culp family, in the house. Sorry, Bryant, it's just how it works.
I love it.
And who else we got in here? We have Tommy Huxley coming through to support the stream. Tommy, I got to ask you a question, and I'm not even trying to attack you. You're not a Niners fan, right? Are you a Niners fan? Because I saw your comment. He's a what?
He's a Niner fan.
Oh, what? Because I seen something that he was saying to somebody else's. I think he said something about a bum ass kicker. He was talking about Jake Moody, and I'm like, is that coming from a Niners fan or a guy who likes another team? And I don't know. I was confused. I saw it. He's been showing up a couple times in the comments with comments about Jake Moody and such. So
yeah, so Tommy's a good guy. He likes to give me give me some a poke here or there about Jake Moody. Yeah, and when Jake Moody missed the other day, he was like, man, he's and I'm like, hey, he'll bounce back, and he bounced back. So but yeah. Tommy will tell you how it is, but Tommy jokes a lot, so.
He knows how to play guitar, so that's always good.
Yeah. He does really good on the guitar. He was on the Friday night show the other day playing his guitar. That's cool.
Nice.
See, when I know people can play guitar, I always do like, hey, can you play this? Can you play this? Can you play this? It's always Metallica or like some Eric Clapton or something. I'm like, I'm weird like that. All right, let's jump to something that I think all of us might have a different answer to, but then again, we might not. I'll start with David. Do you believe that Super Bowl media week is a distraction? I don't know if you saw the clip or the soundbite or they quoted Javarius Ward saying he might get turned up the first couple days in Vegas and then, lock down and concentrate on the game. If I'm anybody in that organization, I'm watching him like a hawk. He's not allowed to go anywhere and get in any trouble. What's your take on that? I'm an old school person. You're there on business. You can celebrate after, they celebrated after they lost in 2019. They had I forgot who the rapper was or singer, Lil Wayne. They were still celebrating even though they lost, which is weird. Because the Niners in the 80s wouldn't have done that. But that's the new age, so whatever. I'm just an old hater. What do you think about that, man? Do you think it's a lot of distraction, Super Bowl media week?
I honestly think it is because the media gets, I think, an absorbent amount of access to the players. And the guys, it's Vegas. You can't expect everyone to just kick back and not go out and have them some fun, but at the same time, business first. Javarius Ward, this means you, buddy. Business first. But yeah, it's a big time distraction. And I mean, if I was the Niners because of the practice field, I'd tell the NFL, look, you guys gave us a subpar practice field. We're going back to Santa Clara. If you guys want your media and everything to go on, you're going to have to send them over.
I don't know about flying back to Santa Clara, but I would definitely go maybe, I don't know, just stay in lockdown. Don't come out of your hotel room.
Yeah.
Something. That's a lot of luggage and a lot of BS to carry back to California.
Yeah.
Because they brought over, they didn't only bring over the team, they brought over like people from upstairs.
Everybody. They brought everybody.
Yeah, like everybody's there.
They brought everybody.
The whole front office is there.
They can leave a lot of those folks there. Just take back what you need to practice.
Yeah, I just actually I'll stop. I'll let Ty go. Distraction or no distraction?
It is a bit of distraction just simply because, what David said, they get I think too much access, more than what's normally required. And it's all for the aspect of trying to hype this game up. You don't have to hype up the Super Bowl. It is what it is. It's one of the biggest events of the year. Naturally, you don't need to talk to every player on the team 3 days a week for 20 minutes to be able to sell this thing with people asking the same questions over and over. It doesn't make sense, you know. And from where they're staying, they got a bus all the way back, all the way into Vegas to do these stupid media interviews, and then bus all the way back. You know, it's just a huge distraction. I would like to see them cut it down, you know, do it regular media style and just chill. And the media sessions go longer than what they normally are too. That's another thing, because you have so many networks and everything covering this. Everybody wants a piece, so it's draining. That's why Marshawn Lynch hated it. That was his number one reason.
That would be me if I had to do media.
Yeah,
I'm only here because I don't want to get fined.
Exactly. And
I really
they
don't want to
force
talk to you.
and they force
Yeah.
you to do it at that. So it really sucks. So it is a distraction in a way. And I wish they would find a way to not do away with it, but tone it down some. Go ahead, BC.
Well, it's all about entertainment. It's straight about entertainment. You go back to what, Super Bowl III, is it? Was it Super Bowl III with the Colts and the Jets?
Yep.
And it's supposed to be one of the biggest, thrown games. Johnny Unitas guaranteed the Super Bowl, and it really wasn't any way in chance he was supposed to win that game. Baltimore was the better team. The Colts are way better. Johnny Unitas.
Namath guaranteed it. Joe Namath.
Yeah, Johnny Unitas was the Baltimore coach, quarterback. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
quarterback, and he was a good quarterback. But either way, Namath guaranteed it, and it turned around to be one of the marquee games of the NFL. And as much as we want to say this isn't football, this isn't wrestling, it sure is turning more and more into like entertainment, more of about making it bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. I know everybody's got their own takes. Everybody's different age here and stuff like that. I remember the 95 Super Bowl, hearing about Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders getting upset because one wasn't taking it serious enough. I was old enough to understand what was going on in the 2002 Super Bowl, 2003 with the Raiders, and after that happened with Tampa Bay and just how horrible it was. First off, the coach, and when one coach leaves and goes to the other team and takes that team to the Super Bowl, and your coach, your best friend, who's the coordinator, is now the head coach of that other team, and you're still running the same plays, and that it was really, really weird, really, really weird. And then you go up there and they already know the audibles, and they know everything, and everything what happened to that Super Bowl, how they changed the plays and stuff like that just days before the game, and the center went crazy, right? So because all of this media, all of this attention, this world has become very, very, very smaller because the multimedia where we're at right now. Aaron and you are on the East Coast, David's in the middle of the country, and I'm on the West Coast. And we're talking together right now, right? About something that is being overhyped right now. I mean, if we didn't have what we have right now, we wouldn't be talking. If we were in the 80s right now, we wouldn't be talking this way, right? We'd still be using a pencil to play fantasy football with. Okay, so is it too much? Well, everything is, people grow and grow, right? And mature, and everybody's youth, and they say, oh, the next generation's trash. And, that's always the older generation. Everyone's always saying, next generation's trash, right? So you're looking at it like this. Now you can't talk to the players the way they used to be able to. You can't coach players the way, because everybody's feelings, they get into their moods and stuff. So now maybe more and more people are more into this, and this is more the realm. They want to be that guy saying, oh, I'm bigger than who I am. And see, that's the whole thing. You're an athlete. You're not a movie star. You're not a politician. You are just a guy on a football team with 52 other guys, right? So it's like, I think what's happening is cameras getting on. They're saying, this is my shot. This is my shot. And I'm taking it. And everybody's just absorbing it, because now everybody can clip this. They can clip everything that everybody else has said. They can put it, they can spin it, they can put their own thumb, everything. And there's just so much media out there. Everybody can just make it their own and influence it and say this or that. And it's everybody wants their own little bit of seconds, their own few minutes of fame. And I think that's what's happening. Is it's just like if we were the Extreme Football League, and I'm so glad we are not. where the camera comes in and everybody's running up and they're talking in the middle of the play and they're like, so what do you guys think you're going to run? I mean, like, you don't need to know everything that's happening on the field. I know some people really don't like those older football games where, you know, the score is not in the corner and, you know, you're like, what's the score and stuff like that. Well, you need to sit down and watch, right? You know, I don't know. I like things staying the same. I don't like things changing, but nowadays it seems like they're in Vegas. This is just turning into a party. I think this Super Bowl has the potential to get really nuts for a lot of players if they don't stay focused. So again, like for me, I don't understand why they would be practicing in the city where the Super Bowl's at, because you'd want them to be all in on the game, right? You want to be focused. But the NFL, the league, they don't care about that. They don't care. They want your face. They want to talk to you about what you used to eat. Do you put mayonnaise in your coffee? Oh, how many Skittles packs do you eat a day? All this crazy. Nobody knows and needs to know anything. Like, I don't care that Brock Purdy doesn't like mustard. I don't care. Okay. But I know, and I probably will never forget that now. Okay. It's like, I don't know. So is it too much? Yeah, I think it's too much. Are we ever going to get rid of it? No.
Think about it. We got coverage from other parts of the world. I, for the first time, had Paul Hope from 49ers Faithful UK. UK has a massive 49er following.
Yep.
So it's not even just the 49ers coverage in the States. They're going to attract people from, you know, China, Italy. You know, there's people come in, they'll be there.
Yeah.
There'll be plants. They call them, well, not really plants, but they'll be there to ask, you know, what do you have? What's your pregame meal? You know, what color underwear do you wear on game days? You know, stupid stuff. You know, remember the old clip of Bill Walsh talking about it? You got to do everything you can to be fresh for the game. For some of you, lots of sex. For others, none. You know, it's just like whatever it takes to get you ready for the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't watch anything leading up to the Super Bowl. I don't care about NFL Network. I do not care about ESPN. All I care about is what's going to happen at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday.
Yep.
And hopefully at the end of that night, I don't care what it takes. I don't care if it's a 1-point win or whatever. I just want to see the Niners,
a win is a
for
win.
the first time in almost 30 years, bring number 6 home. Not quest for 6, not take 6, just go win number 6.
Yep.
We don't need a fancy tagline. Don't care at this point. You're right. It's just too much media access. And it's just like, how much can you possibly talk about a game for 5-6 days? It's just, to me, it just seems like overkill. But, you know, some of these players are probably really excited and they're probably going to record it on their phone and be like, oh, I got to record this, you know, for my kids when they're born or whatever. So it's a business. It's also entertainment, like you guys say. So we'll see, man. Hopefully the Niners don't get too distracted. Hopefully somebody has a hand or, you know, can keep an eye on Javarius Ward for the first couple days so he doesn't get himself in trouble, because he's kind of an integral part of our defense. We don't need him getting into a bar fight or, you know, something stupid happening, you know, right before the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
The one thing I do want to add is the 49ers, you know, even though they haven't been to the Super Bowl maybe as many times as the Chiefs in the last couple of years, they should feel pretty good about this. And they should know that there's an after party afterwards. So they shouldn't have to worry about partying it all up to the week. Win or lose, they're going to have a party, you know? So, I mean, like, the stress, the pressure's off, right? Is that too soon, guys? I'm sorry. But, that's the whole thing. The Niners, you know, they're a good team and they're a good group of guys. And if they win or lose, they're still sticking together. They're going to be together after the game, and they're going to be, you know, memories, talking it out and going from there, partying it up. So I don't think the Niners are going to get too faded here.
Yeah, the key to this is our team leaders have been here before.
Yep.
That's the key. They were young then. They're a little bit older and wiser now, and they know how they missed out last time. So, you know, they're going to be focused and they're going to keep the guys behind them focused. That's what leaders are for. That's what they've been doing all year. We saw that in the NFC Championship game, how our leaders stepped up and kept guys focused. So it's going to be the same thing this week. That's the biggest difference.
There was a story I heard on KNBR today that Dante Whitner said when the Niners were there against Baltimore, they partied too much, and it might have affected certain players. And I was just like, what? Apparently some people got turned up during the week. May have been a little tired during the Super Bowl against the Ravens. Didn't know that. Been how many years since that game?
Yeah.
2013. And we're just finding that out. That junk does happen. Listen, if you're a young guy, you're a good looking guy, you got money, chances are there's going to be a lot of females down there, a lot of distractions.
And remember where that Super Bowl was played at? Where was it played at?
Miami. Oh, the other one was in New Orleans.
That one. New Orleans.
There's
a
lot.
Party city,
all
right?
You gotta do is throw freaking beads, and it's like
boom.
Woo-hoo!
It's on.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's on. So, I guess like a lot of these guys are married now and have girlfriends. So I would assume most of them aren't going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
To jeopardize that, and also, listen, you're here to win. You could, like you said, party after. But man. Still cool to talk about the fact that our team's in the Super Bowl, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about it. When we were all talking in the offseason, regardless of what we said, we don't know if their team's going to make it to the Super Bowl. We could say like, oh, I bet this and the Niners are going to do this and I'm 100% behind it. And those two playoff games, did we look like a team that was going to make it to the Super Bowl? At times.
Not the first or second quarter.
Right.
Not
eventually,
the first half.
maybe. But speaking of the NFC Championship game, I want to talk about. It's a little bit down in my things that I want to talk about, but it was a big story, and it was about the defensive effort and how it was very poor in the NFC Championship game, and a lot of stuff's been said. I want to play a couple clips for you guys, and then we can talk about it. One of them is John Lynch, and the other one is Steve Wilks talking about, things not being to the standard that they usually were, and that they're trying to fix it. So I'll do John Lynch first.
I mean, that's one of our core values, and I believe that in my heart of hearts. It's something. We've got 4 Hall of Famers that represent the defense I played in Tampa, and if you ask every one of us that played on that defense, what was our calling card? It starts with effort, and that being a non-negotiable. So those things have been addressed. You've got one game. I really would be shocked if we saw that again. And sometimes that comes. I mean, there's excuses for it. But they're just that. They're excuses, and that has to be non-negotiable. Play your heart out, and then. We've got a lot of good players, a lot of good depth that you can get. So those aren't plays that we're proud of. Those players are proud of. It's been addressed, and I'd be real surprised if I saw it.
I think you really have to ask them individually. Collectively, as a team, I can tell you, as a defense, it's unacceptable. All right, and we talked about that. I wish I could tell these guys on play 4, on play 27, this is what's going to happen. You don't know. So we got to make sure that we play every down as if it's going to be the difference in the ball game. And you could see on those 2 particular plays, it wasn't to our standard. And those guys understand and know that. And quite honestly, it was embarrassing.
Crazy coming from a team that's going to the Super Bowl to represent the NFC. I was, when you watch a game, you don't really know what's behind poor defense. Is it the opponent just being really good? Is it schematic? And I didn't think it was an effort thing until you see some of the clips like Chase Young, for instance, or just all this. That's ridiculous, man. Like you're in the NFC Championship game. You shouldn't be having this kind of discussion. Like, what are we doing? And then you're about to go play the Kansas City Chiefs. If you think you can loaf through a game where you're playing Andy Reid, Hall of Fame coach, got a Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame tight end, and possibly all-time really, really great defensive tackle and Chris Jones on defense. Like, BC, man, like, what do you think about all that? I think it's crazy.
We've seen crazier things happen, right? We've seen some crazy stuff happen. We've seen the Niners beat Detroit, from a really huge deficit. We've seen it happen with a totally different squad too. Back in 2019, 2012, when we had Kaepernick, a total different squad, different regime, and the Niners come from behind. And that's just the Niners. And we've also seen it with other teams. We've seen Atlanta lose a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. We've seen the Colts and the Vikings go back and forth with one of the weirdest ever, shift changes. So you can come into the game and everything go right, and in the second half everything go wrong, and that's not your fault. You could be the best player out there, and for whatever reason, Kansas City hasn't been the same team. They have not been the same team, but what they do have is familiarity and maturity, and they do know what to do in crunch time, right? So that's the key here. They have been here before. Our quarterback hasn't been here, and their quarterback, let's be honest, they're favored by the league right now. They are the face of the franchise. They are the marquee league team right now, right? Tom Brady, the Patriots were it. Tampa Bay beat them, but they still continue to win Super Bowl since then, right? So right now, maybe there's going to be a shift change. Maybe the Niners can go in there and do something. I'm not going to say, like, if we get blown out early, that we can't come from behind. We've seen it with the Ravens game. We've seen the Niners come back and almost win the game, but something happened. And I think, again, it's kind of, maybe it's too early. Maybe we don't want to put tinfoil hats on this TV show, this TV show, YouTube channel. But you got to think about it. Who was retiring in the 2012 Super Bowl?
Ray Lewis.
Who did the NFL want to send out?
Ray Lewis.
Thank you. What happened with Jerome Bettis?
They won.
Same thing.
Same thing. Tom Brady.
John Elway.
John Elway is another good example. Tom Brady did one to the league. They thought he was going to retire, and he came back for another league. And then when he said, I was going to retire again, they said, no, we're done with you. We're done with you, right? So now that's where we're at. So Tom Brady broke that rhythm or that, streak. I don't know, guys. I'm not looking at this game where we can't come back, and we've seen our team be able to flip. They just have to play 49er football. And for whatever reason, at the beginning of the games, we weren't getting it done, and we went away from the run game too fast, and we started passing. And then when you drop a ball on third down, guess what? You either got to punt or you got to go for it. And we're not the Lions. We're not always going for it on fourth down. Okay. So I see the Niners having a good chance either way. And I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I really, truly believe until the end of the game, mathematically, until we're mathematically counted out of the game. And I got to remember this game too. The Jets game on Monday Night Football with Vinny Testaverde coming back. He threw 4 touchdowns in the end of the fourth quarter or something like that, and came back with the win. I know that's not a Super Bowl, but it can happen. It can definitely happen. We have the weapons. That's what the whole deal is too. We are supposed to have better offensive weapons than Patrick Mahomes. The only thing that they have is Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift, and Kelsey, right? Oh, and Pacheco. Oh, and McKinnon. Don't forget about McKinnon, right?
Their coach is pretty damn good. And their defensive coordinator, Spagnuolo, ain't no slouch either. The Niners have the best. I think they have the better roster, okay, top to bottom, but they have a Hall of Fame. This cat's already won 2 Super Bowls, could win his 3rd. The whole thing with this story was that they just effort issues in the championship game. Like, how is that even? How?
Let me jump in here because I wanted to bring this up last week. I actually had the clips ready. So once again, I apologize for last week. Stupid internet.
Go ahead.
It's exactly what John Lynch said and what you just said. It's all about the effort. It's all about the effort. 2 of those rushing touchdowns could have been stopped if the backside pursuit was just there. And we saw this actually last week versus Green Bay in the fourth quarter, when Aaron Jones broke out at that 53-yard rush. Once again, it was the force outside. He cut back inside. There was no backside pursuit. Someone should have been backside to tackle him, to at least get a finger on him. Something. There was nothing. That can't happen, especially when the guy's cutting back towards you. The defense, somebody did their job and forced them back inside to where the defenders are. How are you just lackadaisical on the play? Like, oh, he's out there. That can't happen.
Somebody's going to tackle
That can't happen. And and in the first half, it was shitty. In the second half, they did step up. Got to give them credit for that. The effort was there, but it should have been there from the start.
Yep.
And that's the problem. So once again, this is the Super Bowl. There is no next week. There is no tomorrow. You got to play every down like it's the last and give that effort. And when and I know they sat in that film room and looked at this on tape, and those guys should have been embarrassed.
Chase Young.
Yeah. A lot of guys on that defensive line, they should have been embarrassed by not just giving pursuit to stop a play.
Jogging on plays.
Mhm.
Jogging on plays. Yeah, how you jogging on a play? Like,
Yeah.
they said a lot of their defensive issues were effort. It wasn't
It's all effort.
schematical.
You
It
can see it.
wasn't
It's
what
all
the Lions were doing. It was effort. People were being lazy. They
Yeah.
were playing lazy.
You can
like
see
someone-
it. It was clear.
And they said it. They said they were playing as if they were waiting for someone else to make it. Oh, someone's going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Like like, oh, they're just going to manifest it out of
Yeah.
thinking like, no, you got to be the guy. What are you doing? Yeah, I was at the end of that game. Everyone is like, "Are you happy at the end of the championship game?" I was like, "No, I was tired." That was a hard game to watch, man. In the first half,
Yeah.
our defense did nothing to stop them. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They went up and down the field like no problem. Unbelievable. Go ahead, David.
Well, that's exactly what I saw. I saw defensive linemen just kind of chasing. It's like if you're running full speed, you're over here. The running back's not getting by you. I also did see. I saw a comment that Burks and Fred Warner were playing the wrong gaps. I saw that too.
Saw that.
They're over
So
pursuing.
there's a lot of messy stuff that needs to be cleaned up, but effort is the number one key here, because there were a few plays where I saw Chase Young just kind of. It's like if you're running full speed, you're over here in front of the play, and you're at least forcing him back into a linebacker or the defensive lineman that's not as fast as you. It's like it has an effect on the game. Even if you don't make the tackle, if you block the lane and force him to cut back into someone else, they make the tackle.
There you go.
But you have to give
And
that effort, and you have to be in position to make that happen.
on one of those touchdown runs, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Gibson came up. He didn't make the tackle, but he forced Gibbs back to the inside. Those D linemen were there. They should have been there to make a tackle. And they were all just like lollygagging on the play.
Do you notice when our defense was back in even 2019, even though we lost the Super Bowl, the one thing our defense was about back then that I really loved was everybody swarmed to the ball.
Well, they did that this year. Earlier this year, they
They were swarming, and then it kind of
somewhere
stopped.
along the way, they've lost.
Yeah,
that.
it's like one man going for a tackle missing, then
So-
another one man missing. What happened to the I'll remember the old backyard game they used to play called Shoot 'em up, bust 'em up. Where
Mhm.
you'd throw the ball and then
Yeah.
to somebody, and that was everybody's job to get
Everybody,
that guy in the
yeah.
ground.
hmm
What happened to the old shoot 'em up, bust 'em up?
Yeah.
Like the guy has the ball, everybody's job is to tackle the ball carrier, but yet it always seems like it's Greenlaw or a really big effort play by Bosa in the backfield. No, it's like the same guys always making game-saving tackles. And it to me, like you do that against the Chiefs with Pacheco and Kelsey.
They
That
just
game
got to
will
get
be
back to that. Swarm to the football. It's simple. Just swarm to the football. Play to the whistle.
Even if you can't get them, impede their
Mhm.
progress, so
Yeah.
the guy that's right behind you coming in flying can't.
Exactly.
Let's I want to bring up a topic that is not a surprise. It's something that to me is like oil, or it feels like water breathing blue skies. Is Brock Purdy getting ridicule from I don't know, everybody?
Everybody.
Cam Newton is Brock Purdy's his new obsession. We have the bad take from Colin Cowherd saying if Brock Purdy plays poorly in the Super Bowl, they probably should go back to who's the backup?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, even though he's not going to be on the team next year. I mean, that was one of the worst takes I've ever seen. It's so frustrating because it pisses me off so much. Look, you don't got to like the guy. You don't have to say that, you can look at him and see what he is and what his deficiencies are. It's pretty easy to see when we look at Brock Purdy, what he is and what he isn't. But the media, I don't know, man.
What is it? What is Brock Purdy and what isn't he? Okay, I know everybody keeps on saying he looks like this guy that should be going to like study school or study class or Bible school or what, right? And he just, I don't know, he looks a lot like people that I hang out with. Is that, something's all that so bad? I don't know. Like, I don't walk around sagging, and I don't say that that's that big of a deal, but I mean, like, the guy looks like he cares about his, his mannerisms. He seems to care about other people. He seems to care about his perception. He doesn't seem to be that somebody who wants to get into trouble. Now, he's not the tallest guy, but he's taller than me. I'm like 5'7" if I'm lucky on a good day. The guy can throw the football a lot further than I can. He's faster than what people can really, and he's got that like football speed too. Like there's speed, right? And then there's football speed. You could be like, oh, that guy's a fast guy, right? Yeah, you want to race him to the store or something or down the block. And then there's those guys that are like, no, he's an athlete, right? And they beat those guys that you can't beat on a normal basis. And, those guys that you're like, oh, man, he's keeping up with the guy on the bike. No, the guy on the bike's keeping up with him. Those guys are the ones So, again, like maybe Brock Purdy isn't all macho, super crazy athletic guy, but he seems to be winning, and he seems to be smart enough to get the ball to where he's supposed to. So if football isn't all about, who's the fastest and, who's the strongest out there, and it's about using your brain a little bit too, is that so bad to give the guy a little bit of credit and say the guy's smart too? A lot of people say football is a little bit like chess. And I think I've said it a couple times. I know other people have said it. It's a battle, right? You have to have, you have to think about your next move before you move your first piece. You should know what you want to do before you really get too far into the game, or you're just throwing pieces out there and throwing plays together and something's going to work, right? No, you have to have a plan. So Brock Purdy has a plan. He's got an option. He's like, I'm looking for this guy. If he's not there, the next thing. So he's using his brain to win the game. And for people to say he's underrated or he's not that guy, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what you're looking for anymore. It's like everything that they can knock him for, they're knocking him for. He's picked last in the draft. He was at least in the draft. He doesn't make a lot of money. He makes more money than a lot of people going to regular jobs out there. I mean, making $800 and something thousand is a lot more than most people will make in 2 years. So, I mean, like a lot more than people are making 4 or 5 years.
That's like CEO money right there.
Yeah, come on. Like most people make $40,000 a year if they're lucky, right? And that's supposed to be average, right? And he's making $800,000. So, like, let's be honest. Like, sure, it's sad he has to share a roommate with somebody, right? But he's living in the Bay Area. He's playing football away from his family, live in a different state. I mean, the guy's made a decision to go and play as a professional athlete, and he's doing a good job on one of the best football teams out there. And people want to slander him. No, what it is they know it's clickbait. If I say something bad about this guy, you're going to listen, and then we're
talking about it right now.
The thumbnail I made, or I didn't make, I found on the internet. I've seen 5 other people use the same thumbnail for the Super Bowl this week. Okay, I'm not mad at it. I found it on the internet, and I cropped and put my own pictures and numbers on it, right? Letters. Other people are doing the same thing. You know why? Because it's easy for people to take it, click it, and then watch it. And then, you know what? That's the same thing. You say something bad about Brock Purdy, people want to listen to it because they like hearing about it. They like hearing, and if you like hearing it, you're going to listen to it.
I did a podcast about this earlier in the season, might have been even been the off season, talking about the San Francisco 49ers quarterback gets you clicks and views. It gets you ratings. And what a lot of people do is they'll say something positive and then come right back with a negative. Why? For clicks and views and ratings. They know we are a huge fan base, a rabid fan base. Aaron, you touched on it earlier, how we are an international fan base. It's a true empire taking over the world, right? We go down to Europe, South America. We got fans in Singapore.
Mexico.
It's a huge, exactly. It's a huge fan base. So talking about us gets clicks and views. And we come from quarterback royalty. Joe Montana, Steve Young, right? So talking about our quarterbacks is going to get you clicks and views, no matter what. So that's what a lot of people do. Now, Brock Purdy, personally, I don't know why people always want to label him with something. Why can't he just be a quarterback in the National Football League? Everyone wants to talk about him being the last pick of the draft and having that Mr. Irrelevant label. Why? There's people in the first round who don't make it in the league, people that go into the last round who make it in the league. There are undrafted free agents that are past, right? That last pick of the draft that get in the league. People aren't labeling them. So ditch that label. The guy's a quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's playing on a winning team. He's helping the team win. That's all that counts.
I think for us fans, it counts. But I think
Yeah.
the national media, they're all about the ooh, ah.
But
You
they're
know,
all
the
about the
big
ooh,
story.
ah, and the clicks and the headlines.
Yeah,
It's
they
like
like
Brian
the big
said.
plays.
It's like Brian said, everyone's using like the same picture, switching it up a little and talking about them. Like how many times have you seen a picture of Brock Purdy with his mouth open doing something and there's a headline? It's like Brock Purdy has pictures with his mouth closed, looking normal, just chilling.
Does this
But
look like
no.
a franchise quarterback? Mouth open. Like,
Yeah. Like Colin Cowherd, we all know we made fun of it here. Made fun of Brock earlier in the year for wearing his hat backwards.
I don't get that statement. Like, does this look like a franchise quarterback? Like, what are they
What
supposed
does
to
one look like?
like?
Exactly. What does
How
one
tall
look
was
like?
Doug Flutie? How tall
Thank you.
was Drew Brees?
Drew Brees threw from his tippy toes his entire career.
Who was it? Paxton Lynch. He was like what 6'9" or something. The Bronco quarterback, and then he
6'7".
Yeah, I mean, like it
what-
doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter. I mean, Jamarcus Russell could throw the football field over the stadium, on his knee on in the field. It's like it doesn't matter how athletic you are or strong
he
you
had
are.
no
You
drive. He had no drive or no. Yeah.
We
You
all
have
know
to
the
have
story
it-
of Jeff George.
You have to be well-rounded. I think this is a really interesting point. I was talking to Tony earlier, and it's like okay, undrafted, right? Last draft pick. We all know Kurt Warner, right? Went to 2 Super Bowls with the Rams, and he lost 1 Super Bowl to Tom Brady, right? Who wears 1, 2, right? Okay, so this is gonna be fun. So then you have Tom Brady, who wins the Super Bowl. Okay, then he moves on. He loses his Super Bowl. He goes all the way up to Tampa Bay, who plays 2 years in Tampa Bay, right? He wins 1 Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, beats Patrick Mahomes, right? Who's wearing 15. 3 numbers more, right? Now you go to Brock Purdy. This is going to be Brock Purdy's second year in the league, right? He wears number 13. He was wearing 15 in college. He was wearing 14 when he got to the Niners. That's 1 number difference, right? So now he's Mr. Irrelevant. Kurt Warner, what number was he? Number 13. He's not Mr. Irrelevant. He wasn't drafted. So you have a quarterback who wasn't drafted, and now a quarterback who's the last draft pick in the league. And then you go to Tom Brady, and you look at Tom Brady. He was drafted too, but nobody really knows what number, right? He was so far back there. He should have been the last pick in the draft, right?
Yep.
So it's about the league saying Stay in school, go to college, get drafted. This is the way you get into the NFL. You can be Mr. Irrelevant and still go to the Super Bowl. You can be Mr. Irrelevant and get MVP. So don't give up on your dreams, folks. And that's exactly what the league is trying to, this is the steroid right here. 13 is the most popular number ever worn by a 49er quarterback. And who's wearing it? The guy who's going to take this team to the Super Bowl, and we're playing against number 15. And if he loses his Super Bowl this week, it doesn't diminish anything that Patrick Mahomes has done. It doesn't at all. It doesn't hurt Andy Reid at all. But if Brock Purdy wins this, it could totally flip the franchise. It could totally fit the face of the league. Patrick Mahomes is still going to be that quarterback. Everybody's going to say he's got the rings. But what happens if Purdy starts winning a bunch of games? What happens if we go back and we repeat?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Bono wore number 13.
Bono. So many quarterbacks that the 49ers had wore number 13. It's the most popular number ever worn. Yep.
Did Sean Hill wear the 13?
Yep.
Yes.
Shout out to Sean
Or was it
Hill.
14? I think JT O'Sullivan wore 14.
Mm-hmm.
JT wore 14.
Ugh, can't believe we're talking about that trash. If you want to talk about bad quarterbacks, let's talk about those guys. But we're not going to.
We got a few.
Did we hit everything on this topic with Brock, or are we missing someone? David?
Hey, I've already said, he's the last pick of the draft. He's small. He's got a noodle arm, but guess what? He can beat your team.
That's
so
right.
it's all about, can you play? Can you actually play football?
There you go.
There are intangibles. Yes, there's athleticism. There's the big arm, but guys like Jamarcus Russell, this guy we drafted back in the day, Jim Drunkmiller. Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
He had a big arm. He's a pretty big dude, right? Yeah, that doesn't always work out. Brock Purdy can play, and that's really what matters. When it comes to hand size, I'm done saying his hands are small because they're the exact same size as Patrick Mahomes.
There's a lot of quarterbacks that don't have really massive hands.
No.
And a guy who did, friggin' Troy Aikman has massive hands. He couldn't grip a wet ball, and his hands were massive. He's got he's got like a catcher's mitt have you ever watched him in like post games? His fingers are like curling backwards, and I've never seen hands that big on a person before. That is weird. And he couldn't throw a wet ball, so I don't know. Let's talk about something that was brought up, and Jed York touched on it, and that was the CMC trade. I wanted to play this clip for you guys and then get your opinion on it real quick.
I said his honesty, his directness. You
know what? This is on Brock Purdy. This is when Kyle told Jed York that he thought Brock Purdy was the best quarterback on the roster going into last season. The CMC thing, for some reason, I didn't keep it or whatever. I don't know. Anyways,
I said his honesty, his directness. We haven't really talked much about Brock, but that's a good example of Kyle's directness. Last year in preseason, I think week 1 of training camp, which you have a quarterback that we're paying, I think, $20 million to. You have a guy that you drafted with investing 3 first-round picks into, and he grabs me after practice. He's like, hey man, we got to talk. And that's generally not a good thing when your coach tells you got to talk. Like, all right, what's up? And he's like, I think our third-string quarterback's our best quarterback. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, obviously, like, we've invested in Trey. Like, Trey's doing a good job. Like, we're going to do everything that we can. We're not going to change that. And we're not going to change the depth chart. But, like, I think Brock will end up being our quarterback at some point. And, like, he didn't force it, right? You had 2 injuries, and that's how Brock ended up playing. But he's always honest, even if it's not, like, one thing that owners don't love to hear when they've invested money and or draft picks or both into people, that the last pick in the draft is the guy that we think is the best. That's generally not great news, but he's honest, and he let it play out the right way. Brock, ironically, I think his first game was against the Chiefs. and he had some mop-up time. And Brock, I think he threw one ball into the stands. And, you know, I may or may not have had some sarcastic comments for Kyle post-game. But when Brock took over last year, like, I think we had a calm about us, but there was a sense that, like, nothing catches you by surprise. And again, like, you might not love everything that Kyle tells you, but he's always open and honest, especially in the moment. And he's very clear about that with me. It's like, look, I will tell you exactly what I think of a player, a situation, a coach in the moment, but that might not be how I feel 3 weeks from now. So don't hold me to, this is what I said about somebody in training camp when we're in week 6 of the season. Like, ask me in the moment what you want to ask about whoever, and I'll give you my open and honest opinion. And again, you might not always love what he says, but I've been around enough people in this league to know that you don't always get a straight comment from people in those positions, and Kyle will always shoot you straight.
For that point,
That was awesome. Peter King also touched on this. I don't know if you guys caught it. He was in the Niners draft room when they were about to draft Brock Purdy, and there was some people, scouts and other people that were not very fond of the Purdy pick. They wanted like a DB or a pass rusher or something. And Kyle was like adamant that they draft Brock Purdy. So for all the people that think we need to replace him and bring Harbaugh back, all you stupid, uneducated fans, we're in the Super Bowl again, and we're in the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. So, you know, think about this. We all are critical. We talk about things as fans. We have our show that we do weekly. But if they listen to us and how we get when we lose, things happen. You imagine how we would run a franchise every time something hit us the wrong way, or somebody said a crossword, or one player had a bad game. So I'm happy that, I'm not saying I'm happy with mediocrity or not winning Super Bowls, but I don't know. That was pretty awesome. I saw that the other day, and I was like, man, that's got to come on the show when we have it, you know?
Well, at a certain point, you know, when you are an owner, or you're a business owner, right? You know, because you're an owner, right? And you have people working underneath you, you know, and you're getting the success that you want, right? But maybe you're not getting the respect that you want. That does tend to take and wear on people. And at a certain point, you want to be happy. So you can win all you want, or you can get as close, you know, and have great season stuff. But if you're not getting along with the person that you have to stand next to every morning when you're getting your cup of coffee, or you're going to the water cooler, or you're going, you know, clocking in and out, however you do it, that bothers you. You sometimes step back a little bit. Sometimes you slow up. You let that other person walk up there first, or you try to get in and out real quick so you don't have to deal with it. You want to be happy. And if you have an owner who's not happy with his people around him, maybe he's the problem. But guess what? You don't fire owners. You can't trade owners. You can't sell owners. They're the ones who own the team, and you either like what they have or you don't. You don't have to root for their team. And that's the whole thing. Us as fans is, oh, no, it's my team. It's my team. That's my team. Well, yeah, you root for that team. Maybe your family roots for that team, and, you know, for years you've rooted for that team. But what happens if they just pick up one day and move away? Are you still rooting for that team? Oh, that's my team. We're not the Raiders, folks. Okay. And, you know, even if we were the Raiders and you want to root for your team after they move, that's fine. But that's an owner's decision to pick up and leave. So for like Jed to come in and say this, you know, first off, if I ever get to meet Jed, it'd be great. I'd like to, you know, ask him a couple questions. But the thing that I like about this is he seems like he was really, really rehearsed. And I think he thought about exactly what he wanted to say for a very long time. I think he might have even said this a couple of times at some parties or dinners or something like that. And now it seems like everybody's getting the credit. Everybody's getting the credit. Like, I talked and we knew about this and this. So you know what? If we win a Super Bowl, we win 3 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowls, everybody down to the guy who was cutting the grass at Levi's Field is going to know that Brock Purdy was the guy.
I just think it's great that they have that open line of communication.
Yeah, that conversation was more about Kyle and Jed than anything else. It's about the trust they have, the communication, the openness, and how they're working toward getting this organization back on top where it should be. And now, for all the stupid Fire Kyle fans out there, you see why Jed gave him an extension, right? Jed sees the success. He understands the vision. They're speaking. They have open communication. You know what? We're going to build this together. And that's what they're doing. And this is what we want at the top of the organization, right? We don't want disgruntled people. We don't want the Harbaugh and Balky situation to ever rear its head again. We want what we have right now.
Yep. People are like, oh, you want mediocrity? No, I want to be in a situation where the coach, the owner, and the GM are all on the same page. And yeah, maybe every year we don't make it to the championship game or the Super Bowl, but every year they put a team on the field who has a freaking chance. And then you just let the cards fall where they may. Some years you're going to get there. Some years you're not. At least there. And people, I don't like when people say, well, you want mediocrity. The championship years with, in Montana, it was failure. Yeah, that was a great thing to live by. But I mean, you don't win every year. That's just, that's the sport. But 49er fans in the 80s weren't saying, oh, we're not doing anything. It's Super Bowl. And then, the next year they're not. I mean, the Niners were always trying to improve. Jerry Rice replaced Dwight Clark and this player replaced that player. And it was always next man up, keep it as going as long as possible. I mean, they had a dynasty that lasted from 1982 until 1999, maybe 98. It's a pretty good, and 5 Super Bowls there in between that. So that's just my take.
So you could even say maybe to 2002 if you want to be honest, because I think we missed the playoffs early in the 90s. We missed the playoffs in 92, 93.
We led in 92. Yeah, that was the year that Bono took over because Steve Young got hurt that year too.
We missed the playoffs one early year in the 90s, I believe. And then later in 1999, I think we missed the playoffs too. So again, we still had a really good team, but here's my question is when we lost, Eddie as our coach and our owner, we still had Steve Mariucci and he was an Eddie hire, right? But then when Mooch left or, the locker room fired Mooch, however you want to look at it, because that's basically what happened. T.O. ran the locker room and then he left, got Garcia out and then he left and Mooch got fired, right? So then after that, who started really running the team? Because our owners are in Ohio. Yes,
Denise.
That's what I'm getting at. So
and
then
her husband, they didn't love football.
The NFL took Eddie got banned because of the situation. So went over to the Yorks.
Gambling. He had to relinquish his job as owner.
Exactly. They went over to the Yorks, and they are not football people.
So then I remember when Jed came into the fray and they started bringing him up and letting him do more and more stuff to the franchise and running it. He's still not the owner. He's not the one. He's just the one out here. He's the face right now.
He's still his dad, his mom.
So who was in charge? Who was the one who got to fire Nolan? Was it York, Mr. York, or was it Jed? Because now we know what happened with Harbaugh. Harbaugh and Jed got into it, but still, was it Jed's decision to fire Harbaugh, or did he have to go and call his parents and say, "Can I fire this guy because I really don't like him"? Because at this point, I still don't see him having the full authority to fire Kyle, even if he wanted to. At this point, it's like what you did with Harbaugh, and you didn't let them, build a team. You did what you did with Nolan. They were building a team. Then you jumped to Singletary and let Singletary take over. And you guys could have kept on with Singletary, but you changed ships real quick. And because you did, we went in a different direction with Harbaugh and went to the Super Bowl, right? But then everything, those 3 coaches, what they did for those teams, that all down the drain because you got in an argument with somebody or your feelings got involved, right? So now we got Kyle, and you're gonna jump ship real quick because no, I don't think the guy has the opportunity, or someone's looking at him saying, no, you have to let this play out. If he hires somebody or they blow a big draft pick or somebody gets injured, you're just gonna have to pay it because look what happened. You fired coaches. Nobody wanted to come and coach for the 49ers. Nobody wanted to come and play for the 49ers. So we had to spend a premium for these people to come out here as free agents. We had to wait.
No.
Yes. That's why
I disagree with that. I disagree. One, Jed was in control with the Harbaugh thing, fired him. Now, remember, Jed was a young owner then. So he made bad young owner decisions.
Yep.
He went with his heart instead of his head, tried to hire within. Let's promote Mike. Let's promote Tom Sula, right? Guys he knew, guys where he was around. He respected them in the game, but shouldn't have done that. So that's why he sat back and said, okay, I got to be smart about this. He went outside and he found Kyle, a coach that's been around forever. And with Kyle comes Mike, his dad. Mike's been around forever. He knows Mike, right? Okay, they have coaching legacy. They can get this right. He did a smart hire in hiring John Lynch. I don't know how that came about, but once again, a very smart hire. And
He
yes,
stood in the background. He stood in the
then,
background.
and then he stepped back and let
Yep.
those football guys do their football thing. And yeah, we did have to overpay people, but that's what down teams do to attract people. You have to overpay some people at first.
You got to rebuild the culture.
Our roster was crap.
And why was it
was
crap?
filled
Because we nuked our team. We nuked our team because our owner and our coach couldn't get along, and then everybody was gone. Everybody was gone. Everybody retired.
They nuked it because
you're saying they retired. They retired because of injury and such. Bruce Borland was a first-year player. He was concerned about CTE and concussions.
Yep.
So he retired for his health. It wasn't because of the organization. They did things like that.
Willis retired because of his foot.
Exactly. He had to retire. Dude couldn't run anymore.
Bowman was injured.
So Bowman broke his knee, and that knee wasn't the same.
Yeah, Bowman was injured, but Bowman left. We went to the Raiders. A lot of players left and went to other teams and still had success because our team was in a rebuild and they seen it. It was right there. They didn't want to stick around. Veterans don't want to stick around in rebuilds when you don't even have a quarterback. And at that moment, we didn't even have a quarterback. We hired, Kyle. He comes in. We thought, okay, maybe Kyle can work with Kaepernick. Kyle didn't want Kaepernick. So that's why we had to pay what we had to pay, and we got really lucky. But because of Jed's mistakes and what he's learned because of his mistakes, I think they took the reins from him a little bit and said, you need to hold up a little bit and make some of these decisions and think about it a little bit. And that's
who took the reins.
His
He's
parents
in charge.
He runs football operations.
Remember, his parents were exactly. They are
all they do is
they
baseball.
never wanted it.
That's why they turn off the music when Mr. York comes walking on the field. That's why everybody shapes up. That's why last year when we were losing really hard and Mr. Jed York's dad come in, Dr. York come in, that's when everybody started shaping up. So, I mean, we know Jed's out here running the team, but he still is talking to his parents. He runs things through his parents. And that's all I was saying. And I think because what he's learned, like you said, his failures, I think we're at the point where, hey, he's ready to roll.
He's acknowledged. He's acknowledged that he failed.
You can't be the Cowboys coach, and that's what he was trying to do. He was too much in the face of you're not the face of the franchise. Owners shouldn't be seen.
He also had a blind loyalty to Trent Baalke, who couldn't draft if his life depended on it. And he finally, after Baalke and Chip Kelly, I mean, that was some of the worst football we've seen in a long time. So, like, we were at the bottom. Nobody wants to come to a team that has no real coaching, front office is in shambles, no direction, no structure. John and Kyle, their first press conference, they talked about a standard and doing things the 49er way. They came in here, were like, listen, this is our way. If you don't like it, tough, you're out of here. And that's why guys like, no offense, like Kaepernick, I know Kaepernick, I'm not talking about what he was doing or what he stood for. They were just trying to make this a football operation. They were done with all the side stuff. And then eventually you get the perfect scenario. You get John Lynch, who's the perfect spokesman, good looking, speaks well, dresses well, perfect face, complete opposite of what we had. Then you have Kyle, who's an X's and O's genius. And then teams, when they start to have a little success, other people want to join in. And and they've built through the draft. That's the thing. They built through the draft. They haven't built through free agency. The core of this team is drafted. And now all of a sudden the Niners have this legacy and this culture. You have to stick with stuff, and you have to stick with stuff that makes sense and that works well together. You can't just take a GM who wants to do things one way and a coach who has a completely different philosophy. Like Belke was drafting guys and he wasn't talking with Harbaugh at all. He was pretty much saying, I draft, you coach, instead of saying collaboration, drafting, coaching all together, everything works in unison. There was a huge thing. That's why there was so much strife. And you think of that, and then you think where we are right now. It's good. It's good. It's real good.
The 180. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're sitting pretty compared to back then.
I want to change the topic to something more positive. I want to talk about if this game is a Kyle Shanahan legacy game, as far as if he loses another one, is his legacy tainted? And if he wins one, is he officially, one of those guys, like the Rams and their coach and Reed and, him finally winning it? I believe it is a legacy game. I really believe he's got to have one of his best games coaching. None of you can take it, but I believe it is to be true.
Now, for me, he's only lost one Super Bowl, right?
Right.
So with a young team back then, this is different. It's only his second one. I don't think it's a legacy game for him. He's still a young coach. What is this? Year 7, year 8?
Yeah,
as a
he's
head
only
coach,
44. We're the same age. Yeah, we're young.
So he's got time to get back, get some more. He can do it. Like I said, only one loss under his belt. I can see if it gets to like 2-3, then you're like, all right, Kyle, you don't want to be like, Marv Levy.
Be like,
you got to win this thing. You got to win one, right? Then you're talking about something, but it not yet. Not with just one loss under your belt. But I know there is pressure for him to win it though, just because of the lineage. It's all about lineage. His dad has 3. One as the offensive coordinator for this organization. I mean, one as the offensive coordinator for the 49ers, right? And then we have 5. It's been 30 years, 29. We need that 6. There's pressure to get it done and all that. But for him personally, I don't think it's a legacy game.
Okay. That's fair. I can go both ways on it.
Yeah. Go ahead, David. You've been quiet.
It's definitely a legacy game. He's made it there. He's lost it. He's made it to 3 NFC championship games in a row. At some point, you got to win it. And here you are in the Super Bowl, Kyle. This ain't going to happen every year. So you need to take advantage of it when you're in it. And right now, you're in it. So it's time. It's time to get 6. It's time to take 6. It's not quest for 6. None of that. It's time to take it.
Take 6.
This football team can beat any NFL football team any day. It's all about them playing 49er football.
Agreed.
We play 49er football, we're going to win that game.
Get that effort.
Honestly, I don't care if it's a 1-point heart attack game.
Don't care either.
40
point,
I'm able to drink half a bottle of tequila during the game because I'm so relaxed.
I might renounce my straight edge life and go and start drinking during the game. Can I say one real quick thing to Nancy Cameron, if you're in the chat? Thank you for the Purdy jersey. I'm not a quarterback jersey person, and I don't usually wear jerseys when I watch football games because I get really nervous and I get hot. But with this, I got to wear it, and I'm going to wear it during the game. So thank you very much. No one's ever donated or gave me a gift from YouTube, so grazie. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
Nancy, that is great. That was awesome what you did. So kudos to you. Thumbs up.
Sweet. BC, legacy game or no?
Oh boy. So this totally just goes off of how mad are you? How mad are you if the Niners lose, right? It really just truly goes into did you have any money on the game? Do you plan on betting next year? Because at a certain point, like David said, you got to win it. You got to win it sooner or later. And like kind of how the Niners organizations kind of went, and I think this is the direction and a little bit kind of how I was aiming. The Niners seem to give up on people too soon, right? And once we give up on them, then we go in a different direction. And we've seen it in a lot of different people's careers. We've seen it in Andy Reid's career in Philadelphia. They gave up on him, and he went and won in a different place, right? So, maybe Kyle doesn't get it done in San Francisco. Maybe he goes somewhere else and wins. I'm not saying fire him. I'm not saying fire him.
Stay
But
here.
that's where it's at, though, guys. Seriously. What? Do you keep somebody forever because they're getting you to the top? No. Look what happened to the Eagles. The Eagles let him go, and they've been to how many Super Bowls since they let him go? So it works out for people. It does. Organizations say sometimes you're not the fit. You got to go. That marriage isn't working. So
I would say eventually, like Ty says, if you got 4 losses on the docket, then
I'm not
I could
saying fire him. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, how mad are you after the game?
Oh, I'll
if
be
he
super
goes
mad.
and loses this game, if he gets blown out in this game, are we all going to be standing and saying, "Oh man, I'm so glad we got him for 6-7 more years"? No one's going to be happy if we lose this Super Bowl. Everybody's going to be like, "Why can't we win with Kyle?" It's not Brock Purdy. It's not going to be anybody else. It's going to be, "Why can't we win with Kyle?" And that's where it's going to be at. Okay, and I know Ty's a little upset here, but Ty, can you tell me, is the only Super Bowl that he's ever won was in the coaching staff, if you consider it coaching staff, was it Tampa Bay? Wasn't he the water boy? I mean, I'm sorry. What coaching? Where did he win a Super Bowl at? Because I know he's been on a bunch of different teams.
For me, he had 0 Super Bowl wins and 0 Super Bowl and 1 Super Bowl loss. That's all I know.
I think in 2002, I think he was the water boy for the Buccaneers when they won the Super Bowl. So if that's the only time you've won the Super Bowl, Kyle, you got to get done, man. You don't want to be that guy that says, "Oh, my dad won a Super Bowl. That's my dad. He's won a couple Super Bowls."
But I don't think Kyle. I don't think Kyle is in that mindset of like he's content. I just think I'm worried about Sunday, and I'll tell you, I'll be really pissed off if they lose on Sunday. But we'll have a game to look at, and we'll probably have some blame to throw around. Maybe defensively, maybe Brock has a rough game. Maybe someone on the offense coughs up the ball a couple times. Clock management.
The refs blow a call.
I mean, we got one of
the receiver drops the ball. They say rule it a catch.
If Jake Moody misses the field goal, everybody's going to blame Kyle for drafting Jake Moody. Okay, come on. I mean, like, we're not going to blame Jed York. We're not going to blame anybody else. This game is a legacy game for Kyle Shanahan. He wants to have a good legacy. He wants to be like, yeah, I'm the man, win the Super Bowl. After that, I don't care how long you're on the team. I don't care how many more Super Bowls you go to. Win 1 Super Bowl. That's it.
I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I just think it's funny how we just talked about Jed and Kyle being on the same page and having this harmonious relationship. Then all of a sudden it's like we're looking at Kyle funny. That's just weird to me. But that's 49ers fandom for you, right? We could get robbed like we did in the NFC Championship game last year, and everybody's like it's Kyle's fault. Meanwhile, the receiver dropped the ball. It's clearly a drop. New York City, the only game on, didn't review it, and we're blaming Kyle. That's just 49ers fandom for you. It is what it is. We're going to blame Kyle no matter what, right?
Well, Kyle was the one who
it is what it is.
Right?
It is what it is.
Kyle was the one with the challenge.
Kyle could have a heart attack on the field and die, and the team could lose by 1 point, and we're going to blame Kyle in the grave. It just is what it is, right?
We actually lost our owner during a game.
Damn.
Our original owner actually died during a game, so it can happen, guys. We were playing the Los Angeles Rams, so
okay, we're not wishing death on everyone. Kyle's going to live a long time. All of our owners are going to live a long time.
We just need to go out and win that route, and then we can talk about all the other stuff.
It's the same. This is the same kind of conversation we had with the NFC Championship game. Everybody was going to be pissed if we lose the NFC Championship game. We're going to be pissed regardless because we want to win. right? We just want to win. So
I
let's just get this win. If we win
I'm on
by
the
one
fence.
or a half a point,
I'm
it
on the
doesn't
fence.
matter.
I think it's a legacy game, and also I think it's not. I mean, if this organizations is what they say they are, then they're going to have more opportunities. But I'm of the mindset also that you can't look at these opportunities as guarantees.
No, you
I mean,
got to
look
get
at
it done.
Dan Marino thought he was going back and never went back. This team may never go back. This current crop of players. So, to me,
See, but the difference there is that Dan went to one and was like, "Oh, I could do this all the time," and never even made it back. It's a difference. Like we've been there before, right?
right.
So it's kind of different. We didn't say in 2019, "Oh, we'll be right back here next year." Or we'll be right back here in the year after.
I think a lot of us thought we were, though. Remember, it was we were gonna come back, and it was the what was it?
Revenge tour.
The revenge
It
tour.
was the revenge tour and the
then
run
ended
it
up
back
being-
and all that stuff.
And then ended up being the
Yeah.
year of COVID and
COVID and 30 different injuries.
30 different injuries. All right, let's get off this topic because I want to end on a good note. Couple more things and we'll get out of here. Brandon Ayuk, is he an off-season priority? Real quick. I know
Yes.
we're talking Super Bowl, but I just want to ask real quick for all of you in the chat. I think he is. I think Chase Young can kick rocks. Sorry. Unless he comes back cheap. If you want a bag, go get a bag somewhere else so people are suckers and they'll put up with that shit that you did on Sunday. Freaking half-assing it. But that's just me. Go ahead, anybody.
Yes, he's a priority. He's our best wide receiver. Since you mentioned Chase Young, I'm going to tell you that the real secret guy that's going to be re-signed, and that's Cleveland Ferrell.
I think so. I think
He's a
sets the
bigger
edge really well.
priority than Chase Young.
Plus, we got Robert Beal in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'd re-sign Randy Gregory as a depth piece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe draft a guy. No one says it, and then they're going to draft a offensive tackle. Maybe they go and get an edge. Maybe they like, you know what? We're going to get a young, motivated guy who has a real, passion for rushing the passer. And Chase, if you want to go make some money and fool an organization again, like we seem to have this issue with getting fooled by pass rushers from other teams. First with D Ford and how our medical team ever signed over on that one, and then Chase Young. He was the third option during the trade deadline. I think it was Brian Burns, Montez Sweat, and then Chase Young. And everyone was saying Chase Young has effort issues. Chase Young did. I'm like, the Niners will take him and they'll shine him up and they'll make. And no, he's the same freaking lackadaisical, lazy player that he was, who has no real pass rush moves and is a horrible in the run game. He can't set the edge if his life depended on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as I loved him when we first got him, get out of here.
Deuces.
Brandon
Anybody
Ayuk should be a priority because he's a real number one wide receiver.
Yep.
Agreed. BC?
Yeah, I mean, let's sign him. If he wants to stay, then we'll make an offer. I'm sure he'll, look at it. If he thinks he can make a better, somewhere else, then he'll go. And that's where it's at. I think it will actually have a lot to do with the outcome of this game. And I think it'll have a lot to do with what Kansas City will be offering or whispering to him on the field, on or off the field, or however
Do they have money? Do they have money for
He's
next
still
season?
under
Do they have
contract with us
anybody else?
next year.
I don't think it really matters, right?
That's right. We have his 5th-year option, so he's still under contract, right?
Yeah,
we
technically,
still have
just
him next year. So if they do that, we can get draft picks from them.
Exactly. That's tampering. Go ahead and whisper, Kansas City.
Yeah.
The cameras will be there to capture it.
and we'll take your draft pick.
Please.
We'll take all your picks.
You get somebody who's like not necessarily a fan of a player, but fans, right? Today, they say, "Oh, we're cutting Jake Moody." I'm gonna be upset, but I just really want to hear that we get another good kicker, right? If we don't re-sign Brandon Ayuk, I just want to hear that we get another good wide receiver. At the end of the day, if we don't sign Kinlaw or we don't sign, Randy Gregory or any of those other guys, I'm okay. We still have Bosa. So if we don't
Trade him to Buffalo. We'll take Diggs. We'll take Diggs over here.
if we don't sign Brandon Ayuk, you guys just said it. We still have him under a contract for one more year, so it's not necessarily end all be all. Like he's gonna leave us. Like that's so. Depending on what happens to this weekend, you're gonna be that mad. You're gonna leave when you're still under contract with us because we didn't negotiate with you the numbers that you want because you feel your value is more than everybody else. Okay, our quarterback makes $800,000 a year. So how much money does he deserve? How much money does he deserve? And
it all depends on the market.
You have to look at the team and you have to say, hey, how greedy am I? And if the team, everybody wants to get paid, right? Everybody wants to get paid. So if you think you need to get paid so much and this team can't afford you, go ahead. Everybody's afraid of getting rid of Juwan Jennings too. Are we going to be able to sign him? Some people say, oh,
I want him back. I want him back.
He's a priority.
Their players come back, and then people are like, "I know how we'll get rid of. We'll be able to sign everybody. We'll just get rid of Kyle Juszczyk, and we'll save all that money." Okay, who's going to play fullback then? So again, I just want this game. Just win this game, and we'll talk about off season and everything else next season. I don't really care. I really don't. I just
thought I'd bring it up.
Nah, it's a good question because he's a priority.
He's not a priority until next season or like the following season. Like
he'll be a priority Monday. He'll be a priority on Monday.
Exactly.
Because the off season starts Monday.
That's when you got to work on those extensions.
Hopefully,
David. I don't know if you said anything.
He went.
We gotta take. We just gotta get the Super Bowl win.
Yeah. We'll worry about that.
The off season. The off season happens
after we win this game.
We ain't there yet.
Everything will be great.
Everything will be great.
You know what I mean?
That's all it is. Real quick question to everybody in the chat. Your Super Bowl day meal for the game, or I'm going to eat before the game because I'm going to be a freaking mess watching the game. I'll have agita for anybody who's Italian. They know what that means. It means upset stomach. Mine is pizza and wings. Go ahead, anybody. Nothing. No one eats.
I'm gonna be cooking some Salisbury steak. Maybe stir frying some vegetables to go with that.
Okay.
Keeping it healthy. I like it.
Eating a little healthy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start my diet after the 49 after the Super Bowl. One more day.
I don't know where I'll be, so I gotta figure something out.
Yeah, my brother's like, I'm gonna go watch the game somewhere else. Oh, great. Okay. Leave me to make meal plans. What about you, BC?
We'll probably get a pizza, and then we'll probably throw something on the Traeger. My brother's here in town, so we'll probably try to smoke something, and we'll go from there.
Smoke a brisket, baby. Let me know.
Or a nice pork butt, something nice, right?
I'm a brisket guy because pork needs too much stuff put into it to make it taste good. All you need for brisket is just some smoke, salt and pepper, and a nice bun and some barbecue sauce, and it's good.
I'm just gonna say it. All you need is love. All you need.
All that too. All right, everybody.
Order your pizzas early, people.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my mom make it for me.
There you go.
My mom can cook. Because I have it like that.
You make it yourself. Do that. That's even better.
Or I'll make it for myself. But we'll see. We'll talk.
I'm saying if you could just make it at home, that's what I meant.
Yeah, because the pizza places are freaking jam packed.
They're going to get slammed.
One time I got one that was so burnt and nasty that I was just like, never again. So everybody, take care. Enjoy your week. For any of you guys, what do you got going on? I'll let everybody go, and then we'll get out of here. Or if you just rather not, we can just get out of here.
I'm flying to Vegas, so I'll be out there.
Okay.
In the chaos and mayhem. Hoping to hook up with Mariah.
Nice. Give her a hug for me.
I got the Super Bowl edition pick show on Wednesday, though.
Okay.
So that's what I got going.
Win it for Corey and Laura, man. That's what it's all about. By UBC.
Yeah, I'll be around with everybody. Same old place, same time, same channels. We'll be doing something special, I think, on Friday night with everybody. If anybody can jump on, we might be multi-streaming to a bunch of people, having a little bit of fun. So we'll figure the details out. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. Just remember, stay strong, stay faithful. Don't waver. Just remember, the Niners made it all the way to the Super Bowl. They deserve your support. And
No matter what.
Yep. Enjoy the game.
I got me and Ted on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Me and Raj on Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Hopefully I won't hurt my back like I did last week. And then me and Bash, that Saturday show is going to be lit because it's the last one before the Super Bowl. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be a multi-person. Maybe we'll have, well, I don't know. I'll talk to Bash. Maybe we'll just have people come in and talk for a bit and go. You know, it's going to be high intensity. I got to get my guy John V from the Locker Room Rant. He's a real passionate guy. So he'd be a good guy to talk to before. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Paul Hope from 49er Faithful UK. I had him on this past week. Great guy. Great interview. I know BC had him on.
Yeah,
good job.
That's right.
Such a cool dude, man. Like, so cool. Like, he's so supportive and like, it's just so glad I had a chance. I can't wait to get with Lee Gowan and talk to him. I knew I recognized him on the draft when I saw him make the pick. And I'm like, why does that guy look familiar when with Paul Hope? And sure enough, he was at the draft that year. So,
yeah.
All right, everybody. Take care. Stay safe and healthy. Go Niners. And I think we might see you next week. We'll do a post-mortem or a post game or whatever. We'll see.
It'll be on my channel, folks. So mad or happy, there will be no in between.
That's right. Take care, everybody.